Stop streaming. Connecting. Restream. Online on Periscope. Title the social alert. Here we go. I'm gonna go with this.
Did you just get that Disney spinner thing for your mom today, Chelsea? Did you get that toy for your mom today? That Disney thing? Okay.
Here we go. I'm alive now. Woo. You're all part of it now.
We're all part of it.
You're all part of it because no one else decided to show up.
We're all part of it.
What?
We're all part of it. Go Saints!
Whoa. St. Paul Saints.
St. Paul Saints.
St. Paul
Okay,
Saints,
sorry.
not the
Sorry.
New Orleans Saints.
I said St. Paul Saints.
Nobody wants the New Orleans Saints to do well.
Are you hungry?
You might be hungry. Look for Spreaker up so we can get to start recording right after the Vikings Packers game. It's week 2, 2019 here.
One last time.
A lot of things to talk about actually. Unfortunately, due to scheduling concerns, Sean and Nick are not available at the moment. But solo about the labor, solo me. Shout out to my brother in the back. Yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about. I'll pull up the game book here, and we'll get down to it. Player by player, kind of. All right, let's start at the top. Delvin Cook, 154 yards, 20 attempts, 7.7 average, long of 75. I don't think there's anything you can say about Cook's day that is not good. Some play calling issues, obviously. In the second half, you probably should be not calling runs on second down every single time on 2nd and 10. But, you know, still to have a 7.7 average after 20 carries is very good. He did all he could to win the game for the Vikings today. Yeah, nothing really bad you can say about Cook at this point. Madison, 4 for 25, 6.3 average, long of 14. Another good running game by Madison. Not used a lot, but when he was used, he got a first down or two. Kirk Cousins, 2 for 17, a long of 11. He lost that fumble. Lost that fumble for a second, then recovered it. So his rushing is not a bad spot. Not a black mark on the reputation, but like kind of a tough play there. If he slides for that first down, he doesn't get it. He's short by about a yard. So, you want to see your quarterback make plays, and you want to see him try to get as many yards as possible. But it's tough at the same time because he did lose that ball, and he just happened to fall on it. Luckily, nothing else really happened that. Nothing else as far as rushing stats to happen that would go against him. Amir Abdullah, 1 for 2, 2 yards. 1 attempt, 2 yards. Only got the ball once. Made a very nice play on special teams as a gunner, taking out the receiver on a play that he didn't call for the fair catch at all. So Amir Abdullah, good game, but not really much to say. Now we come to the Kirk Cousins 32, 14 for 32. I did not realize that was as low as it was. That's a really bad completion percentage. 230 yards, sacked for 7 yards, 1 touchdown along with 61 yards, and 2 INTs. His along with 61 yards to was Chad Beebe was just kind of a underneath route that Beebe kind of made happen. Diggs gave him a block, Thielen gave him a block, and he got downfield on him. Overall, Cousins did not have a good game, and you can fight me on this one. Cousins did not lose the game necessarily, but he did not win the game. Certainly the INT in the back of the end zone. That's a losing play. But got tipped at the line on the other INT. It's a tough one. Missed Thielen on a pretty easy, well, not an easy route, but on one that he really should have made. That if he throws it a little lower, might get tipped at the line. But it's a risk you got to take as a quarterback. Missed Diggs across the middle on a third down. That one's on him and Diggs. He kind of threw it high, but like if he put it in front of Diggs, the other defensive back's got a chance at it. So it's kind of a tough one. I think this is one of the games that Vikings fans certainly have they certainly have a legit criticism of Cousins on this one. I've been kind of a Cousins, not apologist necessarily, but definitely in his corner for a while. $84 million, but I think last year was a really tough year. This year he got 154 yards, granted 75 of them on one play from his ground game, and he couldn't quite get it done. I think if he hits Diggs on that crossing route early in the game for a first down, hits Thielen, earlier in the game for a pretty good gain of first down. If he throws a couple, like a half second sooner on Diggs on his first interception, he at least gives Diggs a chance to catch the ball. Not that he necessarily completes it, but he gives him a chance at least. And certainly one where he missed Diggs in the third quarter, deep down the field. Diggs was wide open for a good 20 plus yard gain. He didn't perform up to snuff. What up, Junior? Just doing some post game. He didn't perform up to snuff. I'm not ready to hand him the loss solely. Certainly, the loss was on Zimmer's game plan coming out of the gate, not pressuring Rodgers, not bumping receivers off the line, not stopping their offense on the defensive side. Defense definitely came out a little flat, but I think he definitely owns. What did I say? I think I said he owns about 20% of the blame. No, Kirk gets. Here's what I agreed with. Kirk gets 50% of the blame. Bradbury, Cook, Diggs, Bailey, Rhodes, Zimmer get the other 50%. What I said was Zimmer gets about 20% of that blame, and then 6% on Bradbury, Cook, Diggs, Bailey, Rhodes. So that's Kirk probably gets half it. What's my team? Minnesota Vikings, unfortunately. Yeah, I think Cousins gets probably 50% of this blame, and understandably, he's a starting quarterback. He should have won that. He had a very good chance to win that game, but Dalvin Cook took away a point on the extra point with throwing his helmet. Dalvin Cook took away a few, like 4 points technically on a penalty that we can argue about. I don't think it was a pass interference by any means. Cook's running a mesh route there, and he runs into the defender. The defender's got his eyes in the backfield, and he's got his arms up. But at the end of the day, like, they should have gotten points on that. Really, it's a tough one because you lose a lot of points on the offensive side of the ball, but you also give up 14 points right away in the game, essentially to your defense just letting Rodgers work the ball down the field. That's kind of the tough thing. Is I feel like teams kind of flip that script sometimes. They put some pressure on Rodgers early, and they make him make plays, and then they kind of sit back and let him kind of take him away at the end of the game. But we did it. The Vikings did it backwards, where they let Rodgers pick them apart. They let him take him out in the beginning of the game, and then they kind of turned around and they shut down Rodgers for the last 2.5 quarters of the game. Just going down the game book, Adam Thielen 8 targets, 5 receptions, 75 yards. I think Thielen did a good job today. I don't think he ever had any penalties. ? Cook, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 37 yards. He had that 1 penalty in the end zone that, again, was questionable. Rudolph, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 9 yards. This is one where you'd like to see a little more, I think, certainly from Rudolph. Certainly from Rudolph or Irv Smith, is you want to see more from your tight ends, especially when you've been told that they're going to be a big part of the passing game. You've been told they're going to, create mismatches for secondaries. You know the Packers are going to be focused on Thielen and Diggs, but you don't. You throw one kind of short route to Smith, in the flat, and then you kind of you throw some shorter routes to Rudolph. He didn't even get 10 yards. You'd like to see Irv Smith go up top, if nothing else. Put some pressure on the defense. That's another thing that the Vikings are going to need to see before the end of the year is some pressure from targets that are not Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. It can't be Kyle Rudolph checkdowns for 3 yards if that's what he's going to do. It's got to be something. Chad Beebe, 2 targets, 1 reception, 61 yards. Of course, he got lucky. Not lucky, but he got a very good block, and he made that play happen for 61 yards. But at the same time, that's not a big play from the sense of you're trying to take a big shot. You're just trying to get the first down. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Chad Beebe. It's a good play, but that's kind of rough. Stephon Diggs, 7 targets, 1 reception, 49 yards, and a touchdown. But Stephon Diggs got a touchdown taken away from him by the officials. He also got a 10-yard gain taken away from him by the end of the first half, because he should have 2 touchdowns, 50-plus yards, and 3 catches. That's kind of a tough one right there. You don't want to complain about the officials, but it's a tough one when that play cannot be reviewed before this year, and then you kind of look at it and you're like, well, are we going to go with the call on the field for indisputable evidence, or are we going to go with the ticky-tacky foul? Because if we're going to go with the ticky-tacky foul, then definitely pull that back. But as far as I've been told, as far as we've been told, coming up to it, that has been the case has been that you go with the call on the field regardless, or not regardless, but unless there is absolutely indisputable evidence of the call on the field being wrong. And I don't think there was on that Dalvin Cook play. Even if you review it and you see a little bit of pass interference, I kind of alluded to this, but that's Cook is in a cross you're on. He's in a mesh route. The defense back is looking back towards Cousins. He's got his arms on him, but he's letting him go. Cook is got his arms on him, but he's letting him go. Cook is trying to get to the other side of the end zone. It's really tough to say that defensive back would have knocked that pass down or would have even affected the play at all. Because I don't think he would have. Isaiah Smith, or Irv Smith Jr., 2 targets, 1 reception, -1 yards. Irv Smith, his first catch as a Minnesota Viking. I'm glad he got it out of the way, but -1 yard, kind of a little just short, flat pass that they had covered. CJ Ham, 3 targets, no receptions. I don't know if they gave CJ Ham any chances, really. I think they were all flat passes or ones that Kirk Cousins was throwing away, so he got targets on them. But he didn't really get targeted. Just going into the game book even farther. Punting, Colquitt, 6 punts, 264, an average of 44 yards, a net of 44 yards, 1 inside the 20, along of 52 yards. Colquitt didn't do a bad job today, I felt. Kicked within his coverage, didn't overdo it. Kind of tough, another tough one, but kicked within himself, gave his team a chance to win, and certainly, set them up okay, but also didn't make an amazing plays, didn't put them inside the 20 on a play where he could have. think it was right before the half or right before the end of the third quarter. Put them at about the 20 when he could have boomed them deep. You know, it wasn't really anything special. Punt returns, Chad Beebe 4 for 25 yards, along with 15. A lot of another, you know, game where he split at least half of them as fair catches. But I think he did a good job. On the one he got 15 yards on, he kind of muffed it and then ran it forward, I believe. Nothing absolutely special there, but also, you know, we didn't turn the ball over, so that's not anything wrong by BB in my mind. Kickoff returns, we didn't return any kicks. On special teams, the only other special teams thing that happened was Dan Bailey 0 for 1 on kicks, and then 1 for 1 on extra points. This is one that 1 for 2. Sorry, 1 for 2 on kicks, and then 1 for 1 on extra points. This is one that, or not 1 for 1. Sorry, 1 for 3. 1 for 2. 1 for 2 on extra points. My goodness. I can't get this right. But 1 for 2 on field goals. 1 for 2 on extra points. Not bad, but also he definitely should have had the 1 field goal just inside the upright. Pulled it to the left a little bit. There's no way that shouldn't be points. And not that makes a difference in the final score, but it certainly could have made a difference in the feeling of the game and the flow of the game. If you're down by, you know, instead of 5 points by the end of the game, instead of down by 2, you put a lot more pressure on the other team. Defensively, I thought the Vikings had a good day outside of the first 2 drives of the game. You give up 14 points right away out of the gate. Sure, that's bad, but like you gave yourself a chance to win that game. And Kirk Cousins couldn't win the game for you, but also your defense couldn't hold them out enough to win that game. It's kind of tough to look at, and it's kind of tough to, you know, analyze, because we want to sit here as fans and we want to be angry, right? Because we want to say you gave up 2 touchdowns in the first three drives. In the first 6 drives, you gave up 5 drives. You gave up 3 touchdowns, a missed field goal, and a fumble. Well, but then you look at it, you got a fumble, a punt, an interception, turnover downs, a field goal, a punt, end of half, punt, a fumble, a touchdown, punt, interception, punt, fumble. You had opportunities to win the game. Far too many punts on offense, not enough opportunities created by the defense. You definitely could have won that game. And it's tough. It's tough because you want to put it on Kirk Cousins. You want to put it on the offense. You went down 0-21. Probably a lot of it because you turned the ball over once, twice within that first 5. You know, those first 5 drives, you missed a field goal and you fumbled. And you turned around, you gave up 3 touchdowns on defense. And those 3 touchdowns ended up being the difference in the game because you gave yourself chances. After the first quarter, the Green Bay Packers did not score a point. You gave yourself a chance on defense, but you just couldn't get it done on offense. It's really tough. It's really tough for me to call this either way because I want to be happy. I want to be happy that the Vikings lost this game by 5 points, but didn't give up a point after the first quarter. But I also want to be upset they didn't win the game. That Kirk Cousins did not win the game. And I think everybody else is feeling this way. You know, last year we had a tie against Green Bay in the second week of the season. We said, oh, A tie is like kissing your sister. We don't know how to feel. Well, I'd argue we don't know how to feel right now either. We're sitting here. And we've lost by 5 to the Green Bay Packers. But we also blew out the Atlanta Falcons in the first week. An Atlanta Falcons team that I think is very good. I think is going to make noise in the NFC South. They might not beat the Saints, but they're going to make noise. So I don't know where to sit right now. I don't know whether to be upset at Kirk Cousins, because I don't want to be. But he also didn't win the game, and he made some mistakes that could be bad. But I also want to be happy that our defense played an incredible 3 quarters. They played an incredible 3 quarters. To hold the Green Bay Packers to 0 points in 3 quarters, after your offense hands them 14 points, essentially, I'll give them. The first drive, that's all. That's Green Bay. That's the Green Bay in the defense. I'll give them that one. But after you turn around and your offense gives them the ball back with good field position after a missed field goal, yeah, you give up a touchdown. Okay, that's rough. And then Kirk Cousins fumbles the ball on your side of the field. And you let Rodgers score. Okay, you're down 21-0. But then to hold them out of the end zone for 3 quarters, your offense certainly should have a chance, and they did have a chance, to win the game. I don't know whether to be happy right now. I don't know whether to be happy or angry or just mediocre. I don't know. If I'm gonna highlight some players, Hercules Mata'afa played very well. Dakota Dozier held his own on the inside of the offensive line. Chad Beebe did a good job of making his opportunities felt. Delvin Cook obviously 154 yards and a touchdown. Obviously made his presence felt. Outside of that, even Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs had a touchdown day, but he also gave away a point on an extra point where we would have had an extra point and nothing else to take care of. But he decided to throw his helmet off his head. Not throw, but he decided to rip his helmet off his head at the end of the play. You want to get to the sideline, if you move 25 yards to the right and you take your helmet off, nobody throws a flag. But you wanna tell the Green Bay fans, like, I get it. You want to show those fans, you want to show our rivals that you got it, that you are doing well. But, like, you handed away a point. You handed away a point that could have been big. It wasn't big because we didn't end up scoring another touchdown. We didn't end up scoring another field goal. We didn't end up doing anything. But you had a chance. That's a rough one. So, once again, Minnesota Vikings fans, week 2 of the NFL season. This is a solo about the labor. I don't know if I mentioned it. Big Heads Podcast Network is now sponsoring us. I'll throw it back in the beginning of the Spreaker episode, if nothing else. But they are part of our thing, Big Heads Podcast Network. They are going to be working with us. I think they have a lot of faith in us. They like us a lot. We like them a lot. We'll be working with them for the foreseeable future. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel. We'll come out on Wednesday, hopefully with some analysis from Nick Olson and Sean Borman. Hopefully I will not talk very much on that Wednesday episode because I have talked myself out on this game, but I don't know. We certainly have some work to do. And Green Bay is probably the second best team, or second or first best team in this division with the Minnesota Vikings. Certainly, you can argue that with the Chicago Bears, but I don't know that the Chicago Bears, especially after last week, are better than the Vikings or the Packers. We've got the Raiders next week. If we come out and we play flat against the Raiders, if we let the Raiders take it to us, kind of similar how we let the Bills take it to us last year when we came out and we played well against the San Francisco 49ers and we tied the Green Bay Packers, but then we let Josh Allen and the Raiders run, or Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills run roughshod over us in week 3, then I would say be concerned. If we come out, we play as well as we can, if we contain the Raiders, even if we contain the Raiders, we should win the game by a touchdown, at least. It's the next, 2 out of 3 after that I would be concerned. Bears, Giants, Eagles. Because the Giants is, fingers crossed, an easy win. The Bears are a team that we should beat, and the Eagles are a team that we also should beat. But it is the NFL, and we don't know what's going to happen. Let's just look ahead to the Raiders. We should, come out, play hard against them next week, play similar to how we played against the Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, put a lot of pressure on them, jam their receivers at the line. There's almost no way that they can play with us on offense. We put up a lot of points against Atlanta, comparatively. 28-12. 28-12 when we still played a kind of ball control version of the game. Unless we come out completely flat again next week, similar to how we did last year in week 3, I don't think there's going to be lose to the Oakland Raiders. So, this has been About the Labor, a solo version of About the Labor, just because of certain situations. We haven't been able to get Sean and Nick on here. Let's check. No chat messages other than the one. What's my team? Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. It's just been me. Just been a solo About the Labor. We'll be back on Wednesday with Sean and hopefully Nick Olson. Nick has told us that he's hopefully going to go full-time again this year. But we'll figure that out. We'll let you know. You can always find me on Twitter at KJOCon14. You can find me on the Purple PTSD message boards, Vikings Territory message boards, Vikings Territory articles. I do the game preview. I put those together every week. If you want to talk to me about Minnesota sports in general, you can talk to me about the Gophers. You're going to talk to me about the Twins. The Twins are only 9 games away from a AL Central Division Championship. Just let me know. Sean Borman is at Sean Borman NFL. Nick Olson is, I believe, Nick Olson NFL. Let me double check on Nick Olson. Nick Olson NFL. Yep, that's him.
Yeah, she's giving you kisses.
We have been About the Labor. They'll be back in the middle of the week. I'm sure of it. We look forward to it. I know it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great after a loss, but this was not the worst loss we've taken. Let's come back next week and let's take out the Oakland Raiders. Skull.